So boy, this episode of My Hero popped off. I was expecting a pretty good episode just given what we saw even in the prior season with a large group of characters utilizing their abilities together. You look at what they did when they infiltrated Shiggy's base, everything about group efforts has been very impressive. But I wasn't expecting to once again come out of a My Hero episode in Season 6 and say, the way they've used flashbacks hasn't been distracting, it's generally added something, and they don't linger to the point that it feels like pointless recap. Like the way that the first half of this so-called fight slash just trying to bring our boy back to school sort of a thing would show 5, 6, 7, 8 characters. They would show like maybe 10, 20 seconds of something from maybe season 2 or season 3 or maybe even the prior season, just enough to remind us what Deku as a person has done for them individually, and then they would do something cool in present day. To build throughout this episode to the grand punchline where they made a human train utilizing like 6 to 7 different characters to launch in order to catch up to 100% Fox. I mean, that was really, really cool, and it's kind of like the carrot on the stick at this moment. Deku had hardly any energy, he was more or less reluctantly being dragged over to the Attack on Titan walls, and now we end with the entire crowd saying, don't let him in. Of course, they had to rise us a little up before throwing us right down the stairs again, and with 2 episodes to go season 6, it seems like we're about to end on a bang. I've been saying it, we can't go back to the way things were, but man, I really hope Deku can find some peace of mind someday, because right now, it's pretty depressing seeing where he currently stands. Now, I do have a full live reaction to today's episode available on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts, head on over there and consider supporting. It was a great episode for sure, and honestly, I was really excited for this one, a little more so than usual. Not that I thought this episode in particular was going to be better than the past couple of My Hero episodes, but mostly just because I thought it was so cool that, yes, we're ending the arc, and I mean, I had someone, it was in the previous video, mention they would love to see an anime original movie just focusing on some of the time we didn't get to see of Deku cleaning up the streets, and I completely agree. If they made a movie like that, I would absolutely be right there to watch. But I mean, even though it's coming to an end, I think it's the appropriate time. Sometimes leaving the viewers wanting more is better than making an arc overstay its welcome. And in just a few episodes, we got to really experience what weeks upon weeks have done to our boy, and seriously, the next fight he would have been in, he probably would have either been kidnapped, captured, or killed. It's like, seriously, there's no other way around it. He passed out by the end of just trying to escape his friends here, right? So ultimately, it was not looking pretty for him. And I like how rather than it being one particular moment that switched his mindset, like if this was Deku in any other season, he would be 100% convinced that his friends are right and he needs to rely on them. And it is one of those moments where it does sort of wake him up, but it's not to the point where he completely agrees. He thinks one for all for one, that is the fight that matters. No one else should be involved. No one else should lose their lives for that fight. It's between him and, of course, the big bats. But to see the combination effort, to have Ida be like the first character to truly start getting through to him, like when they do that whole train formation, they hold hands sort of a thing, but it's not like he squeezes back like I believe, but it's enough to start making him say, why do you refuse to give up? And then to have the Bakugo apology, someone who's like, I was a bully, I was an ass, and the fact that he legit apologizes, it tugs on your heartstrings. So it makes sense why he kind of comes back, because he doesn't really have the energy to run away anymore and try to fight and escape, but he's also maybe starting to second guess himself. And the fact that now you have the entire crowd saying, if you bring him in, you're gonna harm our lives, because basically they're gonna target him. You understand why the protesters are upset in all these moments, but man, does it make you say, are you kidding me? We barely got him back here to begin with. He hasn't even completely changed tune. If this was any other season, he would have been right there being like, okay, but you know what, my friends are here, so I got it. This is a Deku who's he's emotionally destroyed, he's physically weak right now, and he's still trying to slink away because he realizes everything that he thought was true. If I'm here, people are in danger, I should go fight this alone. No one else should be put in harm's way. And I love how, rather than just snapping him from this kind of like dark hero mode to back to who he once was, something I keep saying is there's no way to completely go back to the way things were before. Even if Deku and the cast managed to defeat Shigaraki and everyone of the like, there's no way Hero Society goes back to where it was when All Might retired, right? It can't go back to that way. And I don't think there's a possibility for Deku as a person to completely go back to the way he was before. But does that mean he has to be in his emo phase forever? No. But But I like how rather than just reverting back and just moving on to the next arc, they're actually really showing us that there's lingering effects from the previous battle, what Deku's been throughout all these weeks of roaming the streets, right? I mean, it's pretty incredible that they didn't just say, because Ida said the right things, he's like, you know what, buddy, you're right, squeezes the hand right back, and they power back and realize there's a crowd. No, it's a combination of a lot of things. A lot of things got through to him, but even that wasn't enough to completely change his mind, because for him, he believes he's right, and that's some really incredible character writing in my opinion. The group effort was really cool. There's two particular moments that really stand out. There's like these individual attacks that are fine, they're fun to follow, they utilize the flashbacks fairly well. But it's the moment when he's more or less chained up with like the electrical tape and, you know, they try to use creation, they pretty much put him in a full body suit and that doesn't work, to then Dark Shadow and everything. That was a really cool combination effort. Of course, it wasn't enough. Honestly, even the ice prison was pretty cool because like it was a giant mountain that he was able to break free. Like with hardly any energy, he was able to escape from Todoroki's ice prison. You gotta admit, our boy's come a long way since season 1. But the biggest moment has to be the train. So he pretty much uses 100% Fox again. He uses almost like some bungee cords to just, he's going to the moon. He's applying for that NASA internship, right? And to see them use like this goo, they use zero gravity, they have train tracks, everything about it. It's just such a cool combination, and it utilizes a group's powers together in such a way that I didn't really consider. And I think the most interesting action scenes or some of the most memorable power scenes in any show with superpowers are the ones that go about things in such an odd way you can't predict. Anyone can say someone can cast a big fireball, or anyone can make a big ice prison, or use shadows to wrap them around something, right? And that's cool. I like those moments. I literally just said I did. But the moments that you'll remember are where you make a train track, you propel yourself, and you remove the gravity so you can catch up with a boy who's trying to go to space. Those are the moments that are so out there that you just can't help but think and just sit back and say, that's what I love about superpowers, when they go about things in such a creative way that you didn't see coming whatsoever. And the fact that that's like the big finisher for this chase scene is honestly really cool. Deku's VA absolutely nailed it this episode. Like the first 5 or 6 minutes of this episode, in any other show, that's literally how someone would perform a supervillain. He was one step away from either dropping his hottest mixtape or becoming on a dark hero path to supervillain path. It was incredible, but honestly, the cast as a whole, I like how they came together. I like how they reminded me some characters existed. And honestly, it just felt like a really engaging chase scene that didn't resolve everything, but at the very least dragged him back to school. And just when they thought they were finally there, he could finally rest and recover, there's an entire crowd saying don't let him in. That's a really effective cliffhanger, and honestly, this season has not disappointed whatsoever. But of course, those are just my opinions. Let me know what you're thinking down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, and of course, as I mentioned, full live reaction is available on my Patreon. And hey, while you're there, you can also get a video shoutout. So today, we have Derek Nickel, Dashi Lee, Third Dynasty, Alton Johnson, and Kimberly Oblinger. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.